Hi, I'm Manuel Rode, one of four brothers running Rode. As a family company, we've been building kilns for over 40 years, focused on helping potters get the best results. That's why we're bringing Rode kilns to the US. Visit us at rodekilns.com or follow Rode USA on Instagram. Rode, enjoy your results. And now, enjoy the episode.
This episode is sponsored by Monkey Stuff. Monkey Stuff makes things for makers. We're inspired every day by the craft and creativity of makers and design and manufacture tools and accessories to try to make your making life a bit more delightful. Our products are designed in California, by makers and for makers, and manufactured in the USA. Check out our line of pottery accessories and tools at monkeystuff.com. Follow us on Instagram to see what we're up to in our studios, and keep on making great things.
Hey, this is Erin with Cornell Studio Supply, located in the gem city of Dayton, Ohio. As a proud sponsor of this episode, we are happy to help you with all your pottery and ceramic sculpture needs. Join us this summer for a glaze mixing workshop with our very own low-fire expert, Ben Carter, July 24th through the 26th. Visit cornellstudiosupply.com to sign up. At Cornell Studio Supply, we are owned and operated for potters by potters.
Hello, my name is Kathy King, and welcome to the For Flux Sake podcast. I'm coming to you from the Harvard Ceramics program in our fair city, Allston, Massachusetts. I'm here with Rose and Matt Katz of the world-famous Ceramic Materials Workshop, and they are ready to answer your burning questions about clay and glaze. Hey, Matt and Rose.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
It's been forever since I've seen you in your tiny little rectangles, and producer Ben. It's good to see you.
We don't talk about the man behind the curtain.
Yes, we do. We do. We pull him in at every opportunity. Listen, something even better than looking at you in rectangles is the fact that you are going to be in Boston with me so soon. Yay! So beautiful Beantown will be graced with the presence of all three of you for our live event at through the Harvard Ceramics program. And just to tell the listeners, so the dealio is that on Friday, June 5th, you can still register for free to attend a live recording of For Flux Sake. We're going to be over at our neighbor's house. So our building's like in one big building, and it's us on one side and our great neighbors, the Harvard Ed Portal, on the other. See, they have this beautiful theater. So that's why we're going over there for a live recording 5 to 6 on Friday, June 5th. And then the next morning, we're going to have bagels and an intimate recording of Flux U at the Harvard Ceramics program. So those of you who have always been interested to hear what's going on at our place, please, there's spaces left. And just Google, it's probably easier to just Google Harvard Ceramics program and go from there, or Ceramic Materials Workshop. That's probably even easier to find out where to register.
And look, Boston, it's a Friday night. You've got nothing going on. The Red Sox are doing terrible. I mean, come on. Where have you got to be?
What?
At Harvard Ceramics. That's where you have to be.
Exactly. And it's early enough. Go for dinner afterwards in beautiful Harvard Square. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous stuff.
Join us for good bagels, because we don't have good bagels in New Hampshire.
I know. I'm going to blow your socks off with these bagels, let me tell you. So anyway, so we're super excited to see each other, because the big plan, everyone, is that we're going on the road. We're going to get a tour bus. It's going to have water beds in it, or jacuzzis. I don't know.
Can I bring my cat?
Okay.
Sorry, I meant my cats. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to pick one of them?
No, I'm bringing you, you dummy.
Oh.
Kitty cat. Meow.
I've got claws.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we have so many great questions today. I say we just jump in, people. Let's jump in.
Feet
Our
Let's
first.
do it.
Yes, exactly. So our first question comes from Lena, and Lena is dealing with commercial glazes that have different firing temperatures.
Hi for Flux Sake. This is Lena from Northern Virginia. I often hear you say that glazes run for two reasons. Either that they are overfired or they are overapplied. I don't quite get the joke, but I'm using commercial glazes and have quite a collection of them. Firing to a hot cone 6 so that my clay is vitrified. Well, I'm having a really hard time with all the different glazes because they all seem to look best at a different temperature, which I think means that their chemical reactions are not complete at the same time. Is there any way to adjust a commercial glaze either up by adding something refractory so I can fire it hotter, or down by adding a flux, maybe like a boron frit, so that they will all fire nicely at a straight cone 6? I have some glazes that will blister if fired to cone 6, some that will move too much, and others that need a hot cone 6 to go glossy. So instead of running multiple kiln loads with different things inside, at different temperatures, with different glazes, I'm just wondering if chemically there might be a toolbox of sorts that I can add to my glazes so that I can adjust them to all mature at the same time. Also, why does the glaze which runs at cone 6 not run when I apply less coats? Shouldn't it still run if it's overfired? I know if I want this kind of control, I should make my own glazes, but that's not practical for me right now. Any kind of insight you can offer would be fantastic. I love your show and listen to it on repeat many times a day, even with my kids in the car. Their favorite part is when Rose says, beep. Thank you so much.
Oh, those poor children. At least they get the joy of Rose saying beep. So that's really interesting. This is kind of a great question about clarification about a former conversation we had about commercial glazes. But I mean, if we have to add things to commercial glazes, that is completely against the reason why we're buying jars of commercial glazes. So take it away, people.
Well, I think the first thing I gotta say is, I mean, Lena, you're not getting the joke. That is not the first time that this has happened. Believe me, most of the show is based on people not getting my jokes. Although I will say, you did leave out the joke part of the joke, which my joke is glazes only run for two reasons. One, they're too thick. Two, they're overfired. Three, they're too thick and overfired.
But it's here all week, folks. Tip your waiters.
No, we don't want them all week. Oh my gosh.
I was going to say, tip your roses. She has to live
And
with
all
me.
of them come out.
Tip your roses. That's right.
Support our Patreon, everybody. That's Tip and Rose for her sacrifice. She lives with me, so none of the rest of you have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, the issue with that is glazes, going back to the greater spectrum, do not fire to a temperature. Okay, this is the first thing everybody's got to wrap their heads around. What a firing temperature is the completion of a chemical reaction. And so there are different ways that chemical reaction can happen. The classic one that everybody is sort of, that they generally grok, that they get, is that it's not just about the actual temperature in the kiln, it's the temperature plus the rate of the firing, how fast you get to the temperature. And that's what they call heat work. Okay. That is your first thing. The second one, and this is a discovery that Rose and I have made recently, and we have just now cracked the physics on. We were working with a physicist to figure this out, is that this is a real kicker, that what we have discovered is that applying a glaze thicker has exactly the same chemical performance as firing it hotter. And conversely, applying a glaze thinner has exactly the same chemical behavior as firing the glaze colder. And this comes down to a concept in physics called Stokes' law, which has to do with thickness and viscosity. And it's a whole complicated thing, but it is definitely a thing. And so
And
now
Lena,
we get...
if you don't get it, I still don't quite get it.
The Stokes thing? I have no idea.
Like
Keep going,
it like
though.
hurts my brain sometimes to think about it. And it's like it makes sense, but then like it doesn't make sense sometimes. So yeah.
Welcome again to Rose's Life with me. But no, you're right. It is super confusing because most people would assume like a thicker glaze is going to perform like it needs a higher firing temperature because there's more material. But it actually has to do with the physics of the melt and how that corresponds to things. It's something we're writing up our research on it to be able to put something out there in the future. But it's this crazy concept that is absolutely true. So that's why you see that contrast. The next thing that we really have to put on the table is Matt needs emotional support. I have to stop and take a deep breath. Yes, your commercial glazes are all firing to different temperatures. First and foremost, there is no such thing as cone 5-6. That is not a thing.
I always wondered about that, like why they chose.
I wish I knew, Kathy. I wish
It
I
sounds
had
good.
some.
It's like,
Yeah,
no, 5,
but
6.
it's so specific. Yeah,
It's like
so-
6, 7.
I thought they were just
Big.
covering their covering their bases.
Yeah.
You know, It's like,
Our
Just
children
one
just
lower.
vomited.
oh,
Somewhere in school, they heard their mother say 6, 7, and their eyes rolled so hard
oh
they became
God, yeah,
nauseated.
that thing. That's terrible. Anyway.
See, I'm cool and hip. Not really.
Sure. Okay.
Hello,
We
fellow
digress.
kids.
Get back to your Stokes.
All right, okay. Why do they do it? I think it opens them up to I think it gave the people who are sort of making these products a little bit more flexibility for the Wild West that is cone 6 and mid temperature. Because something that I really firmly believe is that a lot of what happened through the last 50 plus years as cone 6, as mid temperature became a thing, is that people really did not understand the chemistry behind what they were doing. And so a lot of people were making a lot of recipes that like, yeah, did they work at a lower temperature? Yeah. Did they actually know how they got them? No. One of the things that really drives me crazy with mid temperature is the addiction that the ceramics world had to the material Gersley borate. And the
Just throw some Gersley borate in it. It'll be fine.
It's all Val Cushing's fault. He started it.
Ooh. He's gonna roll in his grave.
Shh, we got a question about Val's glazes coming up later. Stop.
Oh, okay. Shh. I mean, yay, Val Cushing.
It's not wrong. The problem that happened with Gersley borate, what happened with the 20th century, you damn 20th century in the past, that what people had found is that they could take a glaze at cone 10 and basically just throw 10% Gersley borate into it. And it would probably work at a sort of mid-temperature range. The problem is that's really bad chemistry. Because no matter what people say, even when we say something's cone 6, it's not cone 6. It's what temperature is that specific chemical reaction done. And that may be cone 6.5. It may be cone 5 3/4. It could be even smaller fractions than that. And that's all glazes. That's cone 10 glazes. That's cone 6 glazes. So what people started doing is that they would just like throw 10% Gersley borate into their glaze and it would probably work. And that just became the way most people were converting to cone 6. But it also led to really lazy, sloppy chemistry. Like when you look at all these old recipes, they're kind of a disaster. And because no one was actually controlling the chemistry, they're just going for this lazy, like just throw the material in there and it'll work. That it led to people not really having good control over their temperatures. They'd say, yeah, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6. I don't know, it'll split the difference. But cone 5 and cone 6 are insanely different temperatures. They're not just like a little bit different. They are a huge gap in temperature. They are such a big gap. There is actually a cone 5.5. It's one of only 2 places on the cone chart where they had to make.
Why? And you're saying specifically there's a giant gap between 5 and 6 as opposed to like 7 and 8.
Correct.
Oh, interesting.
This comes down into a bigger conversation about how the cone chart was made, which was by a guy named Seeger, who was making systematic chemical changes. And that's why the cone chart has random temperature values because he wasn't adjusting for temperature, he was adjusting for chemistry. And then he's just sort of noting what temperature that chemical reaction happened. Well, when you make these systematic changes, there ends up being a really weird gap between cone 5 and cone 6. And it just sort of happens. It's not like the end of the world, but it's a huge gap. Hold on, let me pull. I'm doing this for all of y'all. I'm going to pull up the Fahrenheit cone chart.
Yeah, you know we can't see that, right?
I know. There we go.
And you
Then
know our
she just
audience
pulled
can't
up.
see it, right?
Everybody close your eyes out in podcast land.
I will do this in Fakenheit because I love you all. So cone 5, Fakenheit.
Mm-hmm.
Cone 5 is 2167 F, and cone 6 is 2232. That is what's my math? A 59 degree difference between those two cones. That is massive. And for my sensible Celsius people, we're talking 1186 to 1222, right? So we're still talking a 32 degree difference, 36 degree difference in Celsius. Okay. These are
give us some context. What's the difference between 4 and 5 and 6 and 7?
Well, so from cone 4 to 5 is 1162 to 1186 C, or 2124 F to 2167 C. So that again is not as big of a gap, but they can be random. You know, the classic one is between cone 9 or between cone 10 and 11 is only 9 degrees Celsius, which is 2345 to 2361. So that's 16 degrees Fahrenheit. So again, it's because they're measuring temperature and not chemistry. But the way the chemistry works, this gap between 5 and 6 is huge, so that they made a cone 5.5.
When did they do that, Professor? Has it always been there? Because I don't remember 5.5 always being there.
I remember being there, but
yeah, it's there. It's whether you stock it, whether it's sold, but it's always been a commercial product.
Yeah,
stocking is bad.
Yeah, well, you usually don't find a 5.5.
So says Kathy's court order. Stocking is bad.
Well, that's what the judge said. I mean, but I don't know.
But we end up in this terrible place where the mid-temperature world claim this concept that the glazes are cone 5-6, or they are mid-temperature, and they literally are not. Okay, they can't be, because do all glazes have a range? And this is going back to Lena's question. Like, yeah, glazes have got a range, but that means that you sort of got one cone with a plus or minus maybe. But if your glaze is, say, going to be basically overfired at cone 5, that by the time you get to cone 6, it's going to be a disaster. And if it's going to be perfectly fired at cone 6, at cone 5, it's going to be underfired. And it's kind of irresponsible to be selling glazes that have this sort of range and just going, yeah, do whatever you're going to do. And that's a real problem.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Rosenfield Collection of Functional Ceramic Art. The collection exists as an online source for research and inspiration, featuring photos of thousands of objects made by over 800 artists. The images are high quality and can be used with no permission required. To find out more, visit www.rosenfieldcollection.com.
Glazes don't make sense, but that's why Rose and I are here at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com, helping translate glazes for real ceramicists like you. So join us for our brand new class starting October 1st. It's for everyone from beginners to masters. We clear up all the mysteries of glazes to make them work for you. Join us at ceramicmaterialsworkshop.com for making glazes make sense. And I do have to say, we have talked in the past about Rose and I are getting ready to launch our new manufactured custom glazes where you literally design your glazes for the temperature you are firing to. So if you are firing to cone 5, custom,
awesome.
it is exactly how you need it, because this is a huge problem. that people sort of go, oh yeah, it'll be fine. You fire to 5, fire to 6. And it's not. It is not. Cone 5 is substantially colder. Cone 6 is substantially hotter, and it's going to be different.
So should the commercial companies have just said that they all go to 5.5? Would that have covered the bases better than the 5/6?
I don't know how well they're designed. That's the problem of, are they really looking at their chemistry? I can't say, because again, now to the last part of the question, which is, what can you do to alter these commercial glazes? And the answer is bupkis.
Bupkis?
Bupkis. Dick
That's
Bupkis.
what he said.
For our international friends.
Let's translate. That means
That
you
means-
can't do
Dick Bupkis was a
anything.
football player.
Whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. And it's because you can't make a chemical change to something you don't know what's in there. It's not going to do you
Well,
any
you
good.
can, but it's not knowledgeable
Correct.
Or recommended.
or
Yeah,
recommended.
Because we don't, again, these are chemical reactions that are going on in our glazes. No matter how much people don't want to admit them, they are chemical reactions. And so what we end up happening is that this glazes affects how it melts. Does it grow a crystal? Is it matte? Is it gloss? Is it phase separated? Is all based on very, very specific chemistry. And the company that made it, they know the chemistry, but we don't know it. And so that leaves us at a major disadvantage on how to knowledgeably change it. You know, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day who is an incredibly smart person and keeps hesitating getting into the glaze chemistry, although they love the ceramics. And they were like, yeah, but just tell me, like, can I just add like 5% or 10% of whatever to this glaze and fix it? And I was like, I asked him a quiz question. I'm like, okay, I sort of secretly asked him a question. I'm like, okay, tell me about your talc source. He's like, I don't know, it's talc. I'm like, okay, we're not going to make any of these changes because you're at this place where you're sort of under this veil of darkness and you cannot make good systemic changes to them. And that's the real problem of being with the commercial glazes. You throw something in there, you don't know what it's going to do. And that just leaves you in the dark. The real answer is that if you're stuck with the commercial glazes and you're stuck at a particular temperature, I would experiment with thickness, see if that glaze, if it's running too much, apply it thinner and it will act like it's firing to a colder temperature. See how you're getting the effects that you like at the temperature that you're working at. And if thickness of application will change that. But other than that, like if you have got a glaze that is not working at your firing temperature for the way that you want it, the way that you want to apply it, I would not continue with that glaze.
You need to go to the wait list of wearglaze.com.
Join us at wearglaze.com. No, but it is. This is why we created it, because these gaps are very, very real. And, you know, when people say, oh, yeah, mid temperature, and I'm sitting in my head going, okay, cone 6. And then they're like, cone 5. I'm like, whoa, totally different picture. Just real different thing.
So would you say like Lena could take the commercial glazes that she's working with now and do like a test series of like 1 coat, 2 coat, 3 coat, maybe make multiples for each and then test those out in the different, in a 5 and a 6, or maybe even a 5.5. Who knows? Treat yourself.
100% on the application variations. 100%. Now, I will say with commercial glazes, they're actually designed to make very thin coats, which is why you tend to need 3 or more coats to get a good coating. But absolutely do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 coats, whatever it takes.
Okay.
And then try that at one temperature, because this I do want to emphasize, because you bring up a great point there, Kathy, which is, man, pick your temperature. Just pick your temperature and go with it. Bouncing back and forth on temperature.
Reduce a variable. I mean, why do
we have so many
5
to
and
begin
6
with?
yeah, like cut out a variable. Stick to one temperature. Make it easy.
It's so true, because I have to say that the older I get, the more decades, as I roll into my 4th decade in ceramics that I spend doing this, all of my research is just based on eliminating variables, of going like, what is all the things that don't matter to how this glaze is working, and figuring that out. And to a certain degree, I've actually found that glaze chemistry is a lot less complicated than people realize it is, but they tend to make their lives a lot more complicated chasing glazes that actually work at different temperatures, or having bodies that have problems when they get fired hotter or colder, or over bisquing, or there's all sorts of things that people are doing that they think are simple solutions, but actually like systematically change everything. When like, man, pick your lane and stick to it. And when you're ready to change, then you can change everything because you know where you're starting, so you know where you're going. But yeah, other than it just is about like figuring that personal relationship with your glazes.
Well, good luck, Lena. We have our next question is a little bit related. At least we're still in the world of Cone 6, my beloved, shall I say. I know, but I'm trying to not take offense. All right, so this next question comes from Karen. This is a text question, so bear with me. Karen says, I have used the Val Cushing turquoise for years. I use Standards 112 clay, which is speckled with manganese, to Cone 6. After in use for a while, white spots appeared on the surface of the mug or bowl. At a friend's suggestion, I stopped using copper carbonate and switched to mason stain for the colorant, for the glaze, I'm assuming. It didn't make a difference, but I have avoided the problem by not using this glaze as a liner anymore in mugs. I would really like to understand what caused these dots to rise up in the pots. That's weird.
So there are some pictures. We'll try to put them on our social media for this episode, because it's the really funny discrepancy between the way people describe things and what's actually going on. And this is a really good example, because those white spots are crystals. They're not rising up. You just have what we call a crystalline glaze. And this is a really important detail to understand. And going back to what is my constant theme of this is why learning chemistry makes a difference, because it's actually quite easy to see exactly why this glaze is doing what it's doing when you understand the greater chemistry picture. And this is the downside of, we're talking about the limitations of commercial glazes. This is also the downside of having the glaze recipe that somebody gave to you, or you found in a magazine, or you picked it out of Glazy, and not really knowing why it's doing what it's doing. And this is a number one, top of the list. So this glaze, the recipe that she sent is Custer feldspar, whiting dolomite, Gerstley borate, there it is again, and flint. Now, first thing I got to say, Karen, is I hope you're actually not using that recipe anymore, because two of those materials are dead. They're very, very dead.
Farewell.
Well, yeah, you could still get Gerstley. It's just very expensive now.
Yeah, it's like $300 a bag last I heard.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it hopefully got a new revision, but that's the recipe that she sent. But the short version of what we're sort of looking at with this glaze is we have to understand the context of a type of glaze effect. And this is one we call crystalline glazes. Now, this is controversial. Shocking, that starts controversy. But people love to fight me on this point when I bring this up. But there are different types of crystals that can grow in our glazes for different reasons. The most common one that people are familiar with are matte glazes. And matte glazes grow one particular type of chemistry of crystal for one reason. Getting into that, that's a long story. That's all the learn your chemistry stuff, people. Join us at Ceramic Materials Workshop to learn your chemistry. But crystalline glazes are different. Crystalline glazes grow a different type of crystal for a different reason. On top of it, it gets even more confusing because we have one community in ceramics that has claimed the name crystalline, and they are the zinc silicate community. And those are the big starburst crystals that you see from like our friend Ian Childers or John Tilton, like these beautiful, beautiful glazes. The problem is those crystalline glazes are one subset of a greater family of crystalline glazes. And there are lots of different chemistries of crystals you can grow in your crystalline glazes, depending on what the chemistry of your base glaze is. Those giant crystals grow using zinc as your alkaline earth flux. But you can use any of the other alkaline earth fluxes. You can use magnesium, or you can use calcium. And in this case, that's what Karen has got. She has got a calcium crystalline glaze. It's growing crystals for the same reason that the big zinc silicates are growing. It's just that when you use calcium, it makes a much smaller crystal, very subtle, right? And not huge, right? That those zinc ones can grow sort of infinitely big. And so it's just growing crystals. The problem with crystalline glazes is that crystalline glazes will grow or not grow for a number of different reasons. And this is the common things where people will see their glazes. Sometimes they're getting crystals and sometimes they're not getting crystals. And depending on why, it becomes a really, really big deal as to exactly what that crystal is or why it comes and why it goes. And that's a very, very long story. But the number one thing that you'll often see is temperature, right? One rule that we'll often talk about with crystalline glazes is if your kiln goes to fire hotter, you will get fewer crystals. And if your kiln fires cooler, you will see less or more crystals. And so knowing what your kiln is doing and how all that works, it really just becomes depending on how your kiln is firing, how thick you apply it, and all of that type of stuff. But it is going to be consistently inconsistent if you don't control your variables. And that's a hard one, is trying to control your variables.
So what are the white spots then that are showing up after use? Is that a crystal degrading or crystal like breaking down?
No, it's the crystal forming. It's actually just it showing up. And when she says shows up after time, it just means in the glaze itself.
But
like
is that the glaze like surface wearing down though?
No. I don't. I think this. My interpretation of her question and looking at her recipe and seeing the pictures that she has is that it's the batch that they're growing over time where she's seeing them, not that they're showing up in the glaze. They can't show up in the glaze because what we have is, and this is something actually that is worth exploring, which is the concept of our glaze changing over time. The glazes don't change after they've been fired unless they're super chemically weak. There's nothing in this glaze to make it super chemically weak that would make me believe that that's the case. But glass, once we form glass has to be fluid to change. And glazes will basically seize up around 850 C, which is like 1600 F. Under those temperatures, glass doesn't move. You can't grow something new out of the glass. And so what you can just get is these types of crystals that are just forming on the glaze surface. And that's what we're going to see. But yeah, it really is just, yeah, there we go. Ben
it looks like glaze dandruff.
They have a shampoo for that.
Yeah, there you go. Just crystals.
I mean, what you're talking about with variables is so, important. And it just makes me think, like, even though you may be out there using mainly commercial glazes, let's say, still, like at our studio, we run classes through the ceramic materials workshop, and people are able to take them and then use our materials room to do the projects if they don't have access. But, it's just, I was looking how many people in our program have taken the class in the last 3 years, and it's over 85 people. And it's really like made a cultural difference of just people kind of understanding just the variables, just kind of opening up our mind without having this, instant gratification. I mean, there's something sad about that as well, that, we got to be ready for the pitfalls. But I mean, the reality is that's ceramics. What do you want? That is it. So anyway, just a plug for y'all. That's because it's made a big difference. Yeah.
It is the harsh realities of, like, we all just hope sort of these recipes are published or the glaze is sold and it's everything that you expect it to be. But, like, no, you still kind of got to learn the details. You still have to be in on the details.
Yeah. And nobody brings details when they give you a recipe.
No. Oh my goodness. Well, I think we have done all that we can do here today to continue on talking about the pitfalls also of cone 6, my beloved cone temperature.
Hey, but you stuck to a temperature, Kathy. You hold
well,
it tight.
I use clear. Yeah. I mean, I use one glaze, so that's kind of helping me out there. But anyway, we will See each other again. Oh, we're going to see each other again in person. So I will see you in a week or two, y'all.
Yay!
Bye-bye.
Bye, Caddy.
Well, folks, that's it for this week's episode of For Flux Sake. I'd like to thank the listeners who submitted questions this week. And if you want your question answered on the show, shoot us an email at forfluxsakepodcast@gmail.com. So join us next time, and when in your studio, remember what Rose always says.
Always remember to test, test, test. This is a test of the emergency glaze system. Beep.
Hi, everyone. If you've been leaning into our glaze deep dives to troubleshoot your studio struggles or just geek out over oxide ratios, we'd love to invite you to join us over on our Patreon.
Think of it as the flux that helps our creative process flow a little more smoothly.
Producing for Flux Sake takes a lot of behind-the-scenes chemistry, from research time to tech costs. By becoming a Patreon member, you're directly helping us keep the show independent and technical.
By supporting us at the $5 a month tier, you get access to our Patreon Flux U bonus episodes, archived for Flux Sake Season 1 and Season 2. And you get priority submission for your questions from the team to answer in future episodes. Oh, and along with exclusive for Flux Sake merch.
We know how quickly the cost of cobalt adds up, so we've kept our tiers accessible. Every bit of support means we can spend more time answering your questions and less time worrying about the business side of things.
So check out our link on our show notes or visit patreon.com and keep the conversation and the kilns firing.